I want to thank you for joining us today, and we're delighted to host this enlightening and empowering conversation that celebrates remarkable journeys of women professionals in supply chain and logistics. I'm Tricia Straller. I'm the Chief Communications and Marketing Officer for Life Care Alliance, and I want to thank you for choosing the Levy Event Center as well as LA Catering for this event. LA Catering is a social enterprise of Life Care Alliance, and you're a very lively bunch, so you should all be awake and ready for this quiz. Raise your hand if you've ever heard of Life Care Alliance. Good. Keep your hand up. Keep your hand up if you think you know what we do. Okay. Now, show of hands if you know that we are the largest Meals on Wheels provider in the state and probably one of the largest Meals on Wheels provider in the country. Bragging rights for Central Ohio, right? Keep your hand up if you know that we are the only free cancer clinic still in existence in the Midwest, where women and individuals of all types can get key cancer screenings, including mammography, regardless of whether they have insurance or the ability to meet their copays. All right, if you put your hand down, you can raise it back up again if you know that we offer summer camps for kids with type 1 diabetes so that they can learn how to manage their disease and also live and meet other kids who are living with that disease. Okay, keep your hand up if you know that we offer help at home services where people can get some low light help with housekeeping or errands or groceries gotten for them, or personal care with, maybe they need their hair washed or set, or they need a grab bar put in their shower so that they can stay in their home. Okay, I have two people back here who still have their hands up. I want to thank you for that, and I'm going to let you know I have an opening in my department. So please come see me if you want a job. So, how does all that stuff tie together? A lot of times people ask me, how in the world does that all tie together? Quite frankly, at Life Care Alliance, our vision is a world where people can live on their own terms, regardless of whether they're dealing with challenges that stem from medical conditions, disabilities, or aging in place, because they want to live on their own terms with dignity and independence, and that's what we all want to, right? So, we serve about 25,000 clients a year across all of those services, and for the majority of them, particularly Meals on Wheels, there are no waiting lists. We're probably the only program, one of the only programs across the country, and definitely one of the only programs in the state of Ohio who operates their Meals on Wheels program without a wait list, which means if you call us today to sign up for Meals on Wheels, you'll get Meals on Wheels tomorrow if you need it. That again is something bragging rights for Central Ohio. We're about a $20 million agency, 20, 21 million, somewhere in there. And what I find astounding is, and I still get to act like I'm an outsider because I've only been here 3 years and we're 127 years old. So what I find really astounding about this agency is we are 50% self-funded, meaning we only rely 50% on federal funding or other types of state and federal funding. The rest of it, we get out and hustle and earn ourselves. So we do that. Volunteers are a key part of what helps us remain able to handle everyone who needs our services. Donations from individuals, grants, and funding from corporations and institutions makes that up. And then last but not least is our social enterprise program, which we're extremely excited and happy with. So our social enterprise program includes things like Meals for Kids, where we deliver meals for profit to daycare centers, or our travel vaccine clinic, where when you're planning your next excursion to Africa and getting your safari and you need your yellow fever vaccination, you can come here and get it. Mammography. Our mammography unit is run by a partnership that we have with OSU James. So you get the same quality mammography here as you do at any other James site. The difference is when your insurance pays for your mammography here, it helps offset someone who doesn't have insurance to be able to get that same critical screening. So, thank you. I really want to talk to you after this.
I just got over breast cancer, so for all those women who are scared or nervous about getting your mammography, I am an advocate for you to do that. So thank you for helping on that.
Amen. Thank you. But our flagship social enterprise, you're sitting right here in the middle of it, the Levy Event Center and LA Catering. Now, they contribute a little over $1 million a year to our operating budget and allow us to be able to do all of the services that we do. So, we cater here. We are accepted in about 75 plus and growing venues around Central Ohio. We'll come to your home. We'll come to your office. We'll come to your tailgate. So please think of us, because you not only want your event to be outstanding, but you want it to be impactful. So sit back and relax and enjoy your day today. Enjoy the hospitality and everything, the networking with peers. But think about a baby shower, a graduation party, a wedding, a tailgate, an office party, a holiday party, any of that stuff. And whether you plan it or you don't plan it, you know somebody in your office that does. So think about LA Catering so that your event not only is great, but it also serves all of the 25,000 people that we serve every year. So, is Heidi here? Heidi will be here, or her cards are in the back, and you can pick one of those up. The other thing that the team at the chamber said I should offer you is a tour sometime. If you'd ever like to come down and see logistics on steroids, you ought to see us and the mighty team we have back here getting out 5,000 meals a day, mostly dependent upon volunteers. Think about that for a minute. I'll come back before your event is over, and I will leave cards on the table back there. If you ever want to arrange something like that, you can reach out to me. I would now like to welcome Carl Scharf. He's a shareholder and tax advisory services shareholder of Schneider Downs, who is our sponsor, our gracious sponsor today. Thank you again for coming to the event.
Good, they quickly changed the picture. Well, thanks, Tricia, and appreciate Life Care Alliance, Life Care Alliance hosting this wonderful event today. And good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Columbus Region Logistics Council Annual Women in Supply Chain Logistics event. As Tricia mentioned, I'm Carl Scharf, and a tax advisory shareholder in Schneider Downs' transportation group, and been a long, proud, supporting sponsor of the Columbus Regional Logistics Council. Today's event will feature some great discussions from esteemed industry leaders and community representatives who will share their insights and experiences on how to attract more women to careers in supply chain, the importance of building networks and centers of influence, and how female leaders are providing mentorship to others in the industry. We've seen some incredible conversations transpire from previous supply chain and logistics events and are excited to carry this momentum forward here today. Before I bring up Sheila Davis, I'd be remiss without providing any background on our firm. For those who are new to the CRLC and haven't heard our spiel before, Schneider Downs is a top 60 public accounting firm in the United States with offices in Columbus, Pittsburgh, and Washington, D.C. We provide accounting, business consulting, and tax advisory services and employ close to 600 personnel and 65 shareholder partners, which are independently and locally owned, which is something we're extremely proud of over our 70-year history. Our transportation advisory group has been supporting the industry since our firm's inception in 1956, through 80+ service offerings, leading the way with accounting, consulting, tax compliance, advisory, credits and incentives, fraud, risk prevention, and business consulting services. Our team of management professionals meet monthly to ensure we're staying abreast of industry trends and making sure that we're bringing strategic solutions to our clients to support their financial goals. In addition to our industry expertise, and given today's topic, in International Women's Day on Saturday, Schneider Downs takes much pride in our social responsibility of elevating and accelerating female talent in our industry and workplace as well. Coming off the tails of International Women's Day on Saturday, last week we celebrated the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women and re-emphasized our roles in leadership as a call to action within our community and our firm. Of our nearly 600 employees, women make up 47%, which is something we are extremely proud of. Something we continue to work for is getting more females into leadership positions, which is an industry trend and challenge. This disparity is a result of generational gaps that we as a firm are actively working to address by offering flexibility to women, who may work capped work hours, flex schedules, to really achieve and help them balance their careers with family responsibilities. And personally, as a proud father of 3 young, strong daughters, I take this responsibility, extra responsibility, in making this mission important to our profession and making our field more equitable for everyone. Lastly, I wanted to leave with one final stat, because what's a good account up here without some numbers involved. At the current rate of progress, it'll take up to year 2158, 133 more years and nearly 5 generations, to reach full gender parity according to the World Economic Forum. International Women's Day and today's event is important for us to continue to engage with our communities, reflect on progress, and commit to more positive action like today's event. Without further ado, I'd like to bring up Sheila Davis from Swaco.
Thank you, Carl. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. You're probably wondering, why would the Solid Waste Authority of Central Ohio be a sponsor for the Columbus Regional Logistics Council? Well, you may not know, but we get 500 trucks a day that come to the landfill, and they bring us stuff we don't want. 60% of the materials coming to landfill are from the business community, 40% from residential. So if you live in Franklin County your whole life and you threw something in the trash can at the end of the driveway, it is in the landfill. We're happy to come visit it. We have tours for businesses and the public as well, where 5,000 people visit the landfill every year. I'm the business program administrator. Me and my colleague Sean, we work with businesses with divert materials, help them problem solve how to recycle materials. I think about a year ago, there was a call from the scale house. A load of bananas were coming to the landfill. They drove right past the food bank. So we called them and said, hey, we don't want those bananas, the food bank wants them. So that's what our job is, provide technical assistance and help divert materials that don't belong at the landfill. So I'm really glad to be here today and be a sponsor for the year for the Region Logistics Council. And I would like to join me in welcoming Christine Boucher, Director of the Columbus Regional Logistics Council, to the stage. I thought I'd get us back on track, time-wise.
Okay. Now we can change that picture. Oh,
Thanks, Sheila. I appreciate it. They didn't mention it, but both Carl and Sheila, along with many others in the room, are on the CRLC advisory board. So the events that we have during the year are created, and the ideas for them come from them. They are also those that serve on the committee. So thank you to our advisory board. Who else is on the advisory board? Well, look around. Okay. All right, nobody on this side. Does anybody want to be the advisor? Oh, okay, there we go, Jill. All right, good. All right, well, good morning. So she got me back on track and I'm off. So again, want to welcome everybody to we lovingly call it the CRLC because what's a chamber or education or supply chain and logistics industry without acronyms. Each year, we are proud to host this Women in Supply Chain and Logistics program to connect, empower, and celebrate the incredible women driving the supply chain and logistics and manufacturing industry in our Columbus communities. This event has sparked invaluable conversations and meaningful collaborations, and we're excited to build on the momentum today. So thank you for joining us because we look forward to an inspiring and impactful experience together today. Since 2019, the Columbus Chamber of Commerce and the Columbus Region Logistics Council have supported the Women in Supply Chain and Logistics Scholarship Fund. The Scholarship Fund furthers the education of women studying the supply chain and logistics program in an effort to grow the enhancement opportunities for Central Ohio women in logistics. A couple of years ago, we unexpectedly lost one of our beloved members of the Chamber and the Logistics Council, Angie Atwood, who was the FTC coordinator with the Columbus Port Authority. Last year, after her sudden passing, we decided to rename the Scholarship Fund to the Angela Atwood Equity and Logistics Memorial Scholarship. Right there. You also have on your table a piece of paper and QR code for it as well. Please use those if you feel so compelled to add to that fund that helps provide $2,000 per year to a student who applies and is accepted to receive the scholarship. The scholarship can only move forward if we have the funds to do that, and this room, the support here is where that comes from. So you can also take these back to your place of business, your work, wherever, for those who aren't here that may want to contribute. I will tell you, when you pull that up, there is a space, a box, a text box, where you need to put in that it's intended for Angela Atwood Scholarship. So otherwise it goes into a general fund, so just make sure it goes in that one. So before I begin, I'd like to thank again our sponsors, Schneider Downs, Swaco, FC Bank, Ignite Industrial Professionals, I got that one right this time, I've always changed their name, and Acclaché. A special thank you to our 2025 investor partners as well. Now I'd like to introduce another member of our advisory board and the lead coordinator with the committee for this event, Melissa Zimmerman, Vice President of Ignite Industrial Professionals, to kick off today's program. That cute shoes.
Good morning, everyone. I am delighted to be here with you and see all your pretty faces today. I'm here to welcome Erica Potty to the stage, Vice President at Castle. Please come on up, Erica.
Well, I didn't have to walk up the stairs, so I didn't trip, so that's always a good thing. So it's pretty exciting to be here. This room is really buzzing today, and those of you that do not know the early years of Castle, that is a joke. We started as Gwynnie B back in the day, about 10 years ago, so thought I'd start with something a little fun, but of course, only my team probably gets that joke. So first off, I just want to thank you all for being here, showing up, connecting, and being part of such a great event, supporting women in the logistics field. It is extremely empowering and inspiring to be amongst all of you, and especially taking the time today to recognize some awesome women in the industry doing really great things for their organizations, but also within our community. So I'm really anticipating the awards today. So I am Erica Ponte, VP of Operations for Castle. I lead both our logistics team, and we have 2 distribution centers, and I also lead our program management team that is in every building that we have. Yeah, we're good, thank you. So how many of you have heard about Castle? Probably really not many of you, yeah. So Castle, we are clothing as a service, so it's a spin-off of SaaS. We are a technology company, and we are a catalyst for brands and retailers that really focuses on propelling digital growth and profitability across their business. We provide innovative solutions to expand companies' omni-channel offerings, which includes inventory optimization. We unlock new revenue streams and introduce e-commerce and rental capabilities to drive continual growth for our partner brands. How that looks like for the end consumer is some of you may do rental clothing. So you could get a monthly subscription, you can go onto an e-commerce website for a retailer, and you can do one-time borrow. And we actually patented that borrow button online, which is pretty cool. We utilize data-driven inventory and yield optimization, e-commerce operations and logistics, which is my awesome team back in the back, and expert digital marketing to drive growth and profitability for our partners. We were named Fast Company's most innovative companies for 2 consecutive years, and we're named amongst most loved workplaces for 2024 Newsweek, so that's pretty exciting. Our locations, so we have 6 locations. We have 2 distribution centers. Our Columbus distribution center was opened in 2014. I started with Castle, Winnie B at the time, about 6 months after that DC opened. And we have a Phoenix distribution center, which we opened in 2017. We have our corporate office, which is based in New York, that holds our legal, yield, client partnerships, and growth teams. We have our Mountain View office, which supports and holds our product and engineering teams. And then we have 2 offices in India and Bangalore and New Delhi, which supports engineering, accounting, and marketing and yield operations. So we are global as a startup. So why am I here today? And why is Castle representing at the Women in Logistics event? At Castle, women are at the forefront of our day-to-day business, driving and executing for our partners. We are female-led and founded. Christine Hunsicker, this is her 3rd startup. She started the business in 2011 out of her Manhattan apartment, which we then moved to Columbus in 2014 from an apartment to a garage to Columbus, Ohio. 57% of our management team are female. 43% of our people managers are female. And 72% of my logistics team is female, which is pretty amazing. I'm very proud of that. Just some statistics in regards to women in the industry. In 2023, women accounted for only 13.2% of startup founders. And by the end of 2023, women held only 35% of tech jobs in the US. So I'm fortunate enough to be here. I've been part of Castle for 10 years, almost since the beginning here at Columbus. And I have experience with being led as a woman in the logistics industry, but also leading an amazing team of women. So Castle, how do we support employees overall? So we at Castle, because we're a tech company, we leverage frameworks for everything that we do. And we do this to set expectations and drive results across the organization. So our framework supports and engages employees to drive the business impact through these areas. The first is career development plans. These are employee-driven to develop skills and competencies within their area of focus to really drive growth in the business and for them individually. We leverage goals. These goals are all individual, team goals, and organizational goals that drive business impact and create alignment amongst the teams and the organization and engagement. of course, we utilize feedback. Everybody loves that word. For employees, from managers, peers, cross-functional peers, to highlight contributions and to identify opportunities. We do this one-on-one. We have also really executed a 360 feedback program, which is leveraged throughout our organization. Check-ins, touch bases, whatever you want to call them. I like touch bases, but I put check-ins because that's what we use as a company. These are just conversations to discuss feedback. The most important thing for me is prioritization, roadblocks, expectations, and development. Continuous learning. This is also employee-driven to make sure that they're acquiring new knowledge, skills, and competencies relative to their performance. And it's within the organization and outside of our organization. So you don't have to just have your people team or your HR department really drive your continuous learning. As an employee and as a leader, you should be helping your team find other ways to do that they're passionate about. And then performance reviews. Everybody loves that time of year when you get a summary of how you did. And this is just engagement for employees and managers to highlight strengths and opportunities for growth. So let's get into now a little bit about my journey. So I fell into logistics. I definitely did not plan on being in logistics when I was younger. I wanted to travel, I wanted to save the world, right? And I fell into Ohio State. I traveled abroad in high school pretty significantly and found that Ohio State had the language, abilities, and programs to drive for my career. So ended up at Ohio State and got a degree in international relations, diplomacy, which works really well in management, right? And then minors in Spanish and Portuguese. So logistics was not on my roadmap. During college, I put myself through college. I started at Bread Financial as a customer service rep because I could utilize my bilingual skills, and ended up getting promoted through that organization and really made it through school by working at Bread Financial. At Bread Financial, that really was a turning point for me. I was under a woman leader that was empowering, she was compassionate, she was driven, and she did all those things while managing work-home balance and having a family, which was something I knew I wanted to do as I grew up, right? I fell into logistics at Target. My husband was laid off in 2008 in marketing. I was a stay-at-home mom after I graduated college. And I stayed at home with my 2 boys at the time that were 11 months apart for about 5 years. And he was laid off, and I got a call from Target on the answering machine at that time. That's how old I am. And my husband was like, "You bought something from Target?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't buy anything from Target," right? And it was a call for an interview. So they found my resume online somehow, and I went into Target, and that's where I got back and I got into logistics. I really started questioning my path right before I left, or I started at Castle. I was working for a 3PL, and I had an older gentleman as my manager, and he said to me that he didn't want just a pretty face in an office. I was running the building at that time at the 3PL, and I really was a bad mom because I should be at home with my kids. So that was really a turning point for me, and I was like, am I doing what I should be doing here? Right? And, I wanted to save the world. I wanted to change things. I'm like, how can I do that in an industry that I'm not welcome? Because I really felt that. And that's when I found Castle. So somebody was looking out for me. And White Castle. So first I was intrigued by the business. Who rents clothes, right? That's not a thing back then. Women, if you look at your closets, you probably wear 20% of what is in your closet, not to call anybody out. And most of it's probably black and gray. So that really intrigued me. Also that it was women-led, obviously was a big deal to me, considering on where I was coming from. And I wanted to build a team. I wanted to make sure that nobody went through what I went through and nobody felt excluded how I felt excluded. And I felt like I could do that in a brand new building with a woman-led CEO and I could make an impact. It might not be changing the world, but I can make an impact on a team. And also, to be honest with you, I like the hustle, and startups give a lot of hustle. So that really intrigued me. So I think what's really important is you've got to understand your why when you're developing your team and you're really focusing on your own development. It's a commitment. It's not something that you can just pick up and put down. This week I'm going to work on it, next week I'm not going to. It's a continuous progress. It's a marathon, it's not a sprint. And if you don't know your why, then when you get busy and you have other things that are happening, it's going to drop. So making sure that you're able to develop your team and run your business at the same time. So some of your whys might be business continuity. We talked about that a little bit this morning, making sure that the business doesn't fall, that you have a bench that you can lean into when things get really busy. So that could be a reason. Growing talent from within. All of my leaders some of them started as a team member. My GM started as a team member 10 years ago, and she's here today. She's gonna be super red that I just called her out. So hopefully she doesn't kill me after this meeting. But she started as a team member 10 years ago and has held 6 positions in the organization, learning everything that she has about all those positions in the business. Promoting a positive culture. You wanna create a place where people feel valued, of course, where they feel included and they feel part of the bigger picture. People are so important, and you're not going to get anything done without your people. So this is what I believe is important in accelerating talent. Of course, we have a framework at Castle for performance enablement that utilizes all the things that we talked about earlier: career development, plans, goals, check-ins. But as a growing woman leader and leading a group of women, I think these are the areas that I've really focused on to make sure that I'm doing what I can for them. So I'm going to go into a little bit of each area as we move forward. Yes. So trust building. I think this is number one for me. You know, I'm sure you guys have all heard the quote by Don Mann where it takes years to build, seconds to break, and forever to repair. That is so true. I truly believe that to my core. If you do not have trust in your relationship with your team, then you are not going to grow and they are not going to grow. It's a two-way street. So kind of the foundation of that for me is setting clear expectations. Everybody wants to know what's expected of them. It reduces uncertainty, it aligns your efforts across the organization, and it builds confidence. If they know what they're supposed to do, they're going to feel more comfortable coming in and doing what they're supposed to do every day. Set clear expectations right from the get-go. The next is role expectations. Define roles and responsibilities within your organization and provide frameworks for decision making. One way that we do this at Castle, or I have done this with my team, is I utilize the RAPID framework. And this really makes sure that the team understands what they own as a decision, what they provide input for a decision, and then who has the final decision. And then that person has to own that decision. If they make a mistake and they don't listen to all their partners in making that decision, they have to have ownership and accountability for that mess up. Leadership expectations. We set the tone. You've got to be transparent as a leader. You've got to make sure that your behaviors match what you expect. And this fosters accountability and trust across your organization. Developmental expectations. Everybody wants to grow. Some people don't. Some people are happy within their role, right? But they still want to grow within their role. And that's great. We have to make sure that we are very clear on career paths and understanding what their competencies are and how that aligns with their next goals. And last but not least, I call it the 80-20 rule. You know, your team is going to mess up, and part of building trust is letting them know that that's okay. So I tell my team, listen, you're going to get it right 80% of the time, and 20% of the time you're going to fail, and that's okay. But if you're getting to like the 60%, you're doing good, 40% you're failing, then we've got to realign because you're not prioritizing right. There's that prioritization that comes in. You're not prioritizing what you've got to prioritize. You're letting more things fail. So let's look at your plate. Let's remove things. It's okay to fail, but we've got to support them through that. We've got to build that trust to let them know that they can fail. Okay, accountability. This is a big one for me. Really? You mess up as a leader, say you mess up. Own it. It's a big deal. If you own it when you mess up, they'll own it when they mess up. It's okay. Give feedback. Make sure that you're open and transparent. Make sure that your feedback is aligned with goals. Do it right away. If somebody messes up, let them know right away, because they'll remember it. If you wait a week down the road and you say something, they're not going to remember what happened. So let them know right away so you can course correct. We are not perfect. We're all human. So request feedback from your team. Ask them what you're doing wrong. Ask them what they don't want you to do. I'm a big hugger. Some of my team do not like to be hugged. So I don't remember, it's a flaw. And so I'll go to hug them and they'll just be like this. Right? That's how they give me feedback. Do not touch me. During COVID, it was a big problem. Provide them guidance. You know, they look to us for direction. Offer them support, context, and coaching. Let them come to you. Make sure that you're approachable. Authenticity. Let them get to know you. Authentic leaders share their values, experiences, and challenges. They're open and they'll say when they mess up. And this fosters trust and makes you more relatable. It allows them to come to you if they feel like that they understand who you are. Get to know them, understand what drives them, support their passions and goals, and this will help them support their growth. So not only at work, but what are they passionate about outside of work too, right? What really moves them, what motivates them? Connect with them in that way. And that kind of goes into discover their motivations. When we talk about at Castle, right, you know, not everybody is interested in the fashion industry. I'm definitely not. It took me forever to figure out what I was going to wear today. But maybe you're passionate about your team. Maybe you're passionate about technology. Maybe you're passionate about finding the right answer, right? So find your passion and make sure that you understand what your team's passion is. Empowerment. So check in for growth. Touch bases, check-ins to update on what they're doing. Let them share with you what they need help with. Do not cancel your touch bases. I think this is a big thing. Make sure that you keep those. Check in. Don't let them cancel them either. Even if you're just connecting for 5 minutes to ask how they were on the weekend or what they did on the weekend, it's important time to spend together. It's just a way to connect with them. Understand their goals. Knowing both personal and professional goals helps align and support. Making sure that you truly understand who they are will empower them to be who they are at work. Play to the strengths. So many years, people have focused on my development plans on what my opportunities are. Erica, you're not good at analytics. Erica, you're not good at data driving, right? You're focusing on things that you're not good at. I'm never gonna be good at those things, ever. It is an opportunity for a reason. I'm more of a people person. I like to connect with my team. I like to grow with my team, right? So focus on their strengths. Your team should have opportunities and strengths across your whole org that people can leverage each other. So I'm not great at data. I utilize my team that is good at data, right? I'm never gonna be good at that. So why am I keep harping on the thing that I'm not good at? I'm like going against the grain. It's not gonna work. So really play to their strengths. Really hone into their strengths and how you can leverage those strengths for the betterment of the organization. And give them space. I put this in here, but I'm not good at it. In that I'd like to be involved. I like to be present, and sometimes you just gotta let them execute. But I like to make sure they know I'm there, and so sometimes I'm there too much. So I'm still working on this. But give them space, give them autonomy to execute, and this will let them have confidence as they continue to grow. Adaptability and resilience. So at startups, you get a lot of resilience. You wear many different hats. And the biggest thing here, and the first thing, is creating safe challenges for your team. Give them assignments that they're nervous about. Let them take risks and learn. Let them fail, but support them in getting them back on the path. I always tell my team, I'm gonna let you fall and skin your knee, but I promise I won't let you bleed out. I'm there to support you. Expand their network, help them connect with people inside and outside their organization, cross-functional work, projects that they can work with a different department. This will help them strengthen their own skills and be more adaptable. Events like this one are great. Elevate C-Bus is another great one that the Chamber puts on. Community nonprofits, what are they passionate about again? And how can you get them involved in expanding their own personal network? This is also good just for overall business. If we're doing a test, we have many tests at Castle, like, hey, we're launching something. Nobody's ever done this in the industry. How do we do it? Okay, let's test a whole bunch of things, and then we'll reach out to our network, get ideas, come back, test it out. So this is really important for that. Give them resources. Guys, it's a world full of resources today, right? We didn't have that forever ago. So books, podcasts, for every type of learning style. So share it with them. Make sure that you foster continuous learning with your team. And foster team support. So change is constant. Resilient teams move through change more efficiently. So allow them opportunities for shared problem solving and help them adapt and thrive. Okay, support. Show up, follow through, and support the whole person. Understand their whole self. Everybody juggles personal and professional challenges. Sometimes they might have some personal things going on that are really affecting their day-to-day. Take the time to understand what's on their plate at work and offer meaningful support. Ask them the question. Do not be scared to ask. What is going on? I've noticed some things have been following. What is happening? What help do you need? Provide them the right resources, whether it's a day off, EAP program, or just being there to listen. Make sure that they know that they're not alone. And leverage your, of course, people team. My people team's here. Leverage them to provide guidance. Follow through on commitment. Do what you say you're going to do. This is huge. Ensure they feel that they can rely on you for support. If you say that you're going to be there, show up. Be there. Be present. One-on-ones, regular check-ins. Your presence enforces that their success and their person matters. You're in it together through good and bad times, right? And especially through bad times. If you show up, they know that you are there to support them. I'm gonna keep moving. Okay, key takeaways. So, I truly believe the only way that you can accelerate talent is having that strong manager-employee relationship. And these are the ways that I have done that with my team. Trust building, don't break it. Make sure that you set clear expectations, you're transparent, and you follow through on your commitments. Accountability and authenticity, lead with honesty and consistency. And this is both ways for giving feedback, both receiving feedback and giving feedback and doing it timely. Empowerment, empower your team by providing them opportunities, trust them to execute, and focus on their strengths, not their opportunities. Leverage their strengths to help them build their own confidence. Adaptability and resilience, foster a culture by encouraging employees to take challenges and learn from failures. Do not beat them up if they mess up. Help them learn from it. We're all human. I'll tell you, as my grandpa used to tell me, don't use this as a stumbling block, use it as a stepping stone. How is this gonna make them better? Support. Show genuine care by understanding both their personal and professional challenges, offering the right resources, and be present. Show up. And lastly, for your team, I really believe that everything that you do that provides you growth will scare you. Like today, I'm scared, right? That means one thing, I'm growing, right? So give them opportunities and tell them it's okay to be scared. We've all been there. Do it scared. That means you're growing. Thank you so much. Son, thank you. So I am super excited and honored to invite our next person to the podium because he's a great guy and I've known him for a while. Jeremy Banta, the Associate Professor at Columbus State Community College, and he will go over the next presentation for us today.
Thank you, Erica. Yeah, speaking of power of networking, I don't know how long we've known each other, but we cross paths constantly. It's funny that she has people that don't like to get hugged. I debated whether to tell this story or not. I'm going to tell it real quick. So I got back from a military deployment, and my wife at the time kind of made a new group of friends. And as I started meeting them, all the women in the group were huggers and kissers. So, yeah, exactly. So I get a hug and a kiss on the cheek. I am not comfortable with a hug. Please don't come up and kiss me. I don't know you that well, Kelly. Where are you? You can kiss me on the cheek every now and then. That's perfectly fine. I know you, but oh my gosh. Yeah, so now I'm debating, what do? I don't want to give hugs. I really don't want to give kisses. My wife encouraged me, just do whatever feels natural in the instance. I get to an event, it's someone I'd met in passing, but I hadn't really greeted her, and I give her a hug and a kiss on the cheek, and she went. So I'm uncomfortable, she's uncomfortable. Yeah, it was bad. I don't think I've ever told her how uncomfortable I was in that situation. I should probably tell her someday. So it'll be interesting to see if she actually remembers it. So before I start, I want to say that the cost per credit hour at Columbus State is $182.93. So a $2,000 scholarship, depending on how many credit hours your classes are, it's like 3 to 4 classes. We're a 2-year school. That's a lot. That is a lot of money. It goes a long way. I had a student that got a scholarship, and she's like, oh my gosh, I save up cash, and when I have enough, I take a class. I can take 2 classes this semester. She was one of my students for like 5 years. So anything that you can give to that scholarship, even if it's like 10, 15, 20 bucks, that's phenomenal. And if you want to do what Cameron Mitchell did and donate $2.5 million, we will build a building and name it after you. Okay, so let's talk about networking. So I am Associate Professor Jeremy Banta from Columbus State Community College. I teach supply chain management. I have over 30 years in the industry. Half of that was full-time military. Half of that was in the civilian sector. I did my career backwards. I went civilian sector first, and then I did full-time military. But I've been doing this for quite some time. My dream job was to teach and to speak and to do stuff like this. So even though it gives me incredible anxiety to be up here, I like passing on some of the lessons that I've learned over time. And that's what we're going to do today. So the theme this year is accelerating female talent. And when you think about accelerating yourself, a big part of that is networking. And networking has changed some over the last 5 years, just with all the stuff that we've been through. And it's never anything that we really get trained to do. So that's why I kind of developed this session. And it is a little bit interactive. I won't force you to talk like I force my students to talk, but I may ask you to holler out an example or two, so feel free to do that if you like. Oh, I forgot all these things build. Okay, so aside from being a professor, I am a soldier, retired soldier, adjunct professor, stepfather. I'm a friend, a peer, a mentor, a teacher, a partner. I'm an avid reader, a writer, a biker, a cyclist, an aspiring yogi, a DIYer, a wrench turner, a tinkerer. I'm also a board member, committee member, volunteer, organizational founder, etc., etc., etc. I wear a lot of hats, and I'm sure a lot of you do too. Most of those things only take up a little teeny bit of time, especially as the stepfather. My daughter's at OU. I don't hear from her. But those all take up some amount of time. And I have a pretty good network. Raise your hand if you consider yourself to be in my network. Yeah, that's not bad. I mean, this full room, as I was being anxious last night, I realized there's going to be 10, 15 people in the crowd that know me really, really well, and that's very comforting for me, and that's why I've built the network that I have. Even though I do all those things, one of the things I didn't say is I'm an AFOL, an adult fan of Lego. It's a horrible acronym. But that is one of the things that I do on my own. Oddly though, I'm not connected to any Lego networks. I mean, I am on like Facebook and stuff like that, but there are groups that do this. That is not part of my network. Maybe it is, as I ease into retirement. That's the Lego room, that's Josie. She did not help organize at all. And that is a staged picture, because that's what the Lego room normally looks like. So, you'll notice that there's not a lot on my slides. This one in particular is blank. I did that on purpose because I like to put pictures in, but if you Google stock photos of networking, nobody wants to stand and look at these while I talk. So we're not going to use those. But I do have slides, and there is some information on there, but I'm going to try to talk to you more than I'm going to show you slides. So this class actually started this seminar, session, speech, whatever you want to call it, started as a networking for success. And the reason it started is because one of my students coming to an event just like this, she got there early, she signed in at the desk, and they told her, all right, go network. And she went, how do I do that? And it got back to me, not in a bad way. And I'm like, oh, wow, people have never really been taught how to network. However, what do you think of when you think of networking? This is an informal Instagram poll that a friend of mine did that said, your thoughts on networking in 3 words or less. Yeah, networking needs rebranding, right? So we're not going to call it networking for success, because it's not just the networking part. What are you doing when you are networking? You're actually building your own personal network, and I realized that is what needs to be taught to my students. That's what we never got. We never got this class in school or wherever. Nobody ever really taught us. You just kind of assume this is going to happen naturally. So let's actually get into that. As I started to kind of frame this, I'm like, all right, what am I going to talk about? How am I going to stand up there and kind of discuss these things? What are the steps? What are how did this come to be? And I realized that I've been told numerous times over the past number of years by people that know me really, really well outside of this industry, wow, you did a really good job, because you're a massive introvert. You do not like to socialize. How did you do this? How did you build this network where you're making all these connections and having all this stuff happen? You need to teach people what you did. So as I thought about it, I came up with these 8 rules. And right before I presented the very first time, I realized, oh my gosh, I forgot one. And I could fix this and make it 9 rules, but if you're like me, 8 rules are fine, 10 rules are great, 9 rules, no, it just doesn't work. So I left it here. But it's also an assumption that most people are already online. So I kind of built this with the belief that we're already developed a little bit of a network to some extent. You're here, you are sitting at tables, you probably talk to somebody. So even if you're not really into this yet, you've already started a little bit. But LinkedIn, I can't give a big enough plug for this. Multiple statistics about how many HR people use LinkedIn on a regular basis. They're all over 90%. I know people in this room that actually look for candidates online, unsolicited, and reach out and talk to them. And if they're not a good fit for their business, they're like, you know what, you need to talk to this person. You need to talk to this person. I've sent my students to her just to talk to get into a network and get somebody else's opinion on them. So LinkedIn is a very, very good platform for you. You can also convince people that you're a subject matter expert. I post every day only because I want articles from my students. But I've convinced people that I know what I'm talking about just by posting every day on LinkedIn, and I get unsolicited requests to like speak and stuff through LinkedIn. So it is a really, really good tool. So we'll set that rule aside. Let's just assume everybody has a good LinkedIn profile. All right, so the first rule is getting involved. And that's kind of why we're here. To actually build the network and actually do the networking, you have to go somewhere to do that. You have to be in a group, you have to have some sort of interaction with other people. So how do you do that, especially if you are like me and you're an introvert? You probably don't agree with this, you probably don't understand it. I figured out another term over the years. Who's heard of ambivert? All right, this is your education from the college professor. So, an ambivert is one or the other, but has traits that the other shows. I use the formal definitions that I've seen. Extroverts recharge by interacting with other people. That sounds horrible to me. I recharge by being alone and having quiet time. So that's why I call myself an introvert, but I probably am an ambivert. But let's look at it from my frame of reference and all of you that are introverts. What do we not like doing? We don't like public speaking. I know the irony of that right now. We really hate small talk. Coming to these events, I always gravitate to the people I know because we don't have to have the small talk, and it's just hard for me to do. That means we don't like socializing. That is also very, very difficult for those of us that are introverts, which means networking is very, very difficult. Of all the stuff I do, coming into a room like this is probably the hardest thing that I have to do on a regular basis. All right, so how do you get involved, especially if you are a little bit more of an introvert? This is the class participation time. Why do we build a network? What are some of the reasons why you want to have some sort of personal network? Just holler it out.
Oh, build your own personal brand.
Okay, build a brand. What else?
Support.
Find support for yourself. Maybe lend support to others. Very good. What else?
More business.
Yes. You want to find clients. You want to find a place to sell your wares. You want to figure out how to solve solutions. You want to find people that can provide you solutions, et cetera, et cetera. What else? Yeah.
Just to be connected to something bigger than yourself.
Yeah, just to kind of get connected. So here are some we talked about. Even that last one. If I really was feeling kind of alone and I stopped doing stuff and I'm kind of retired and I want to like build some more friends, I could join a Lego club. I could go join a sports club. Networking is not necessarily just coming to events for business. It's maybe golfing with the group or playing a sport or getting involved in a D&D club or something like that. Okay. So, how do we actually do the networking part? So, this is where I wanted to think about how I would instruct this. What would we do to like start networking? That's why I kind of call this Networking 101. Why do we need to network? We already talked about these things, but you need to figure out your own. Why are you networking? What are the reasons? Of that list, how many of them fit you? You got to figure out the why before you just start going out and meeting people. Once you know the why, then you kind of have to figure out the where. So, if you are trying to focus on maybe Central Ohio, maybe it's just Columbus. There's a Downtown Residents Association. Maybe it's the region. Maybe you want all of Ohio. Maybe you want the Midwest. Maybe it's national. Maybe it's international. But try to figure out the where you want to network. Oops. And then, who? Industry professionals, other academics, people that share same kind of hobbies as you. Figuring out those things will help you kind of narrow down where you can go and network. Then do some research. Oops. I just Googled some things, trying to figure out what groups fit those criteria that you're looking for. Here in Central Ohio, if you want to get involved in supply chain stuff, oh my gosh, there's so many groups. It's very, very easy. However, if you want to get into a very, very niche part of a hobby that you have, you may have to be part of a social network that runs the entire globe. What kind of groups do you look for? So, the main place to start would be professional associations. How many here are like a member of a professional organization of some sort? Yeah, quite a few people. So there's a lot of them out there. Some are free. The Columbus Logistics Breakfast Club. We pay at each meeting, but it's free to be a member. Anybody can be a member of it. The Columbus Region Logistics Council, we have to be a member of the chamber to be it. CSCMP, again, you have to be a member. So if you're trying to network and you find these groups and you don't know much about them, make sure if you have to pay a fee, make sure you understand what you're getting for it. And if you are unsure, maybe talk to a few members. See if somebody that you know in your network is part of the group and they can tell you, yes, that's worth the money. No, it's not. I tell a lot of people here in town, if you want to start networking in logistics, you don't necessarily have to join the professional organization right away. Come to the Breakfast Club, because those of us that go to the Breakfast Club kind of go to the other ones, and we're all leaders of each. And if you go to just one, Breakfast Club or CSCMP or another group or something like this, you're interacting with some of us that interact with all these other groups too. So the fee may be worth it in some cases, it may be not in others. Conferences. I would not necessarily call this a conference, but it's got a conference-y feel to it. What a great place to meet people. That's kind of the reason most conferences kind of exist. Although, me being an introvert, I go to like ProMat, if you've heard of ProMat, and I generally end up meeting with people that are here in Columbus, and we always joke like, why are we meeting here? We could have just met at home. But some of these conferences are also free, some are paid. Again, figure out whether the cost is worth it. If you go to ProMat, it's an industry event with all kinds of stuff to see, it's free. But you have to pay for the hotel and travel and everything. Some of the smaller conferences cost more, but they are worth it. So again, judge whether it is worth the money or not. Volunteer. CRLC needs help manning tables and stuff like that. Come to Life Care Alliance. Go to the Mid-Ohio Food Bank. I had a student who was doing a volunteer internship at Mid-Ohio Food Bank, ended up packing boxes next to a VP at DHL, and ended up sending his resume to her. So what a great thing to do, just volunteering, build his network, and maybe got a job out of it. How many of you have clubs at work? Do you work at a large enough place where there are employee resource groups, or a softball team, or some sort of extra thing that you can do? Especially the bigger companies have lots of groups. Man, what a great way to network and get to know other people. Get involved at work. You get paid to do it. You're helping the organization. So that's another great way to find people to talk to. If you're not so much of an introvert, or if you are an introvert and you just like to public speak, do stuff like this. Groups are always looking for people to come and talk. Talk about your career. I love having people come into my classroom and just talk about how they got where they are and what their business does. Easy thing to talk about. Talk about me. But what happens after you speak is invariably people come up and talk to you afterwards because they want to tell you a story, they want to ask you a question, they want to connect with you, et cetera, et cetera. What a great way for me to force myself to actually meet other people. It's Josie again. This is more for students to keep them awake because who doesn't like cat pictures? Okay, so, all right, you've done the research. You know you need to network, you figured out the why, the who, the where, all this other stuff, you found a group. Now what do? You don't just show up, especially if you're a little nervous and concerned and it's a new group, and maybe you don't know many people there or don't know anybody there. What do you do before you actually show up? Make sure you know the group. If you are involved in our local community and you come to the Columbus Logistics Breakfast Club, you come to CSCMP, come to CRLC, most of those are generally the same. However, think about if you're going to a group of artists or you're going to a group of lawyers. Sorry if I offend either of those groups. Completely different groups. If you show up in a really, really nice suit, dressed to the T, for the artist group, they may look at you a little funny. If you show up in your, paint splattered stuff from throwing pottery or whatever, to the professional lawyer organization, again, know your group, know what you're going to get into. Is it a social group? Are they just going to be talking? Or is there a formal program? Does everybody come in and sit down? Or is there lots of interaction ahead of time? Make sure you understand what's going to happen at that group. and then prepare yourself for it. Make sure you know why you're going and be prepared to do that. Who knows what an elevator speech is? Who has an elevator speech? Oh, more hands should go up. Hi, I am Jeremy. I teach at Columbus State. I'm a supply chain professor. Spent 30 years in industry, half of that in the military, half of that in the civilian sector. That's my elevator speech. It varies where it goes, but know what you're going to say when someone says, oh, hi, how are you? What do you do? Or why are you here? Or tell me about yourself. If you go, you don't sound as professional. So make sure you have an elevator speech. Have your business cards. They're starting to go a little digital, but I always have them. I try to always have them. I have little stashes in all my coats. I put this one in and took another stack out because I didn't need 2 stacks. My bag has them in all the time because this is the way we stay in contact with people. So if you don't have them, let's say you're not working, or maybe you don't get them where you work, or maybe you're networking on your own for personal reasons. Get them printed, or have a digital one. Really easy. Lots of places online will print them up for almost nothing. I shouldn't have to say this, but I do. Make sure you dress appropriately. Again, make sure you understand the group that you're going to and dress accordingly. If you're not sure, the business casual thing always works. Okay, so you've prepared. You know where you're going. You know why you're going. You're still not really sure. Take somebody with you. If that's the worst case scenario that you don't know what's going on, grab a friend, take them. Make sure you take the right friend. Don't take that friend, take this friend. You know the friend that needs to go with you for the networking, the one that's going to encourage you and maybe give you a little kick to go talk to somebody. But really, worst case scenario, take somebody that you know. A couple other ways to kind of break that seal before you show up. Reach out to the organizers of the group. Tell them you're coming by yourself. It's the first time. Can I introduce myself? Maybe find some other people. Talk to people you know and see if somebody they know is going. Just having a common connection in the room will help you get through that door because you've got a mission and you can go find somebody. Okay, so you're all set. You're prepared, you're confident, you're gonna go. You may have somebody going with you, you may not. You may feel confident in the fact that you can go all by yourself, that's perfectly fine. You made it. Now what do you do? Fit in. Scan the room, especially if it's your first time. Come in, do your sign in, and just kind of take a peek at what's going on. Show up not late, but not too early. Kind of get there at the right fashionable time, and just kind of scan the room. Is it a loud, boisterous group? Does everybody have drinks? Are they all standing around laughing at each other? Or is it really quiet, and does everybody kind of just kind of fit in, figure out the room? Find somebody you know, and use your elevator speech. If you're new to the group and you haven't made any contacts before, try to figure out who's in the lead. Talk to the people at the registration. Who should I talk to? Find the most friendly person. There's different groups of people. There's the group of people that are real close-knit, they're talking to each other, and you really can't insert yourself into that conversation without being uncomfortable. Then there's the group that's they're kind of a half semicircle, kind of weird, just there talking, and you can kind of saddle up to them and talk. A good leader in that group will bring you into the fold. Lots of ways to use your elevator speech and just get involved in some of the conversations. If you trade business cards. Does anybody know what I mean by this? Honor the business card. I see some heads nod. Especially if you work with Asian communities. When you get a business card, don't go and stick it in your pocket. You want to look at it, you want to read it, because the title may be interesting. Oh, you're a VP? Or, oh, this is different than what you're talking about. This isn't the company that you're telling me about. But honor that business card. Hold on to it, because you don't want to insult the person. Take the business card and make a note on it, so you don't forget. I'm in an academic conference, I'm talking about an assignment that I created, and the person's like, oh, I'd like to have a copy of that. I'm gonna make it on right there in the spot. Copy of this assignment, just so I don't forget. But use that business card to make some notes to remind yourself. Make some plans. Hey, let's meet for coffee. Oh, we should talk further. Oh, we need to do this. Just make some sort of plan. Even if it's just, I'll be in touch soon. Just do something so that you've got something that you've created from the networking. After the event, or if you get a free few moments of downtime, take the business card, make more comments on it. If you really want to be thorough, write down where you met them, the date, and maybe a couple notes. Liked my shoes, liked my jacket, had a cool coat, talked about skiing, something like that, just to kind of jog your memory. Stay until the end. Don't be that person that's like the last one to leave, that is, everyone else is trying to leave and you're not leaving. But don't leave early. If you do have to leave early, tell somebody that's in charge, hey, I really wanted to come to this, but you're going to see me sneak out, and this is why, and I apologize. Say thank you to somebody, not just a random person. But if the leadership's there, or the people at the registration desk are still there or something, say thank you when you leave. It's just kind of polite. And then do your follow-up. If you set up something to do coffee with somebody, do that. If you said, I'm going to reach out to you, reach out to them. That's where your business card comes in, because you can be like, oh, hey, remember that we talked at the CRLC event? I was the one with the black and white coat. This is a great way to remind yourself, because you already made notes, and now you reach out, and now you're establishing the connection. What not to do? Don't sell stuff. Yes, you may be networking to sell your wares, or to sell your book, or to establish clients. That's fine, but don't come in hawking your wares into the networking event. Unless that's what the networking event is for, then it's fine. But if you come into this room and you keep talking to everybody about the book you're trying to sell, we're all gonna go like, who was that dude? That's for after. Send me an email afterwards and say, hey, I didn't know if you know, I just published a book. That's perfectly fine. I'm happy to do that. But I don't want to sit and talk about your book for 20 minutes, because we're supposed to be just networking. Create the connection, then do the business part after. Oh, what else not to do? Don't insult the group. Don't get into arguments, things like that. You think that it's kind of common sense not to do it. However, I've seen it in groups where people have come in and talk down to our group. Oh, cute little odd decisions. Such a group. What are you talking about, trucks all day? No, don't come into our group and insult us like that. All right, so you did it. Yay, celebrate. You went to your networking event. You broke that seal. You got engaged to a new group. Were you successful? How do you know? So I always thought I had to come back with a stack of business cards. If I didn't, I was kind of hard on myself. And I found an article that was networking for introverts. Perfect article for me. But it said, defining success is on your own terms. If you have one meaningful conversation at a networking event, that's a success, especially if you're an introvert. The former chamber president CEO, Don DePero, I could always have a meaningful conversation with him. If I went to an event, I was a chamber board member for a while, and I would go to events that weren't logistics. You already know I'm an introvert and I don't like to talk, so it was really hard for me to go to events like that. I could always go up to Don and have a 10-minute, 5-minute conversation with him. It was always heartfelt and deep, and I always made my connection stronger with him. And even if that was the only person I talked to at the entire event, to me it was a success. That's little black kitty. She showed up on my porch during COVID and never left, and she's really friendly. And I'm a very creative person. I wasn't with her name, so she just got called Little Black Kitty. I'll be kidding. If you recognize her, it is not who you think it is. It's not Business Cat. But they could be related. I don't know. She was a stray, so who knows? All right. So, a quick virtual addendum to Networking 101, because we can do networking virtual. That's perfectly fine. We all have Zoom meetings. It is hard because you don't have that same chitter-chatter that you had before and after meetings on Zoom. Sometimes you do, but sometimes you don't. However, you can leverage your Zoom meetings to make connections. You can go into webinars. Lots of them are free. That's a great place to even meet people, because you'll see people in the comments. You can strike off conversations on the side. You can reach out to them after the fact. Some events actually have virtual networking attached to them, where you can actually do the networking there online. But if you go to an online event, that gives you the option maybe to talk to somebody. Hey, I heard you speak on that webinar. I'd like to talk to you more. Oh, I saw that you asked some questions in there. I had some of the same questions. Maybe we should chat. Can we just have coffee? You can be proactive. You don't even actually have to have oh, I saw you in a webinar, or I saw you speak. If there's somebody interesting that you'd like to talk to, feel free to actually reach out and do that. It is okay to cold call to build your network. I would caution you though, just make sure that it's mutually beneficial to both of you. If I get a random intro on LinkedIn, hey, I want to talk to you, not gonna respond. Hey, I saw you at an event, or somebody referred me to you, or I like what you publish on a daily basis, et cetera, et cetera. I do this, can we talk a little further? Yes, now it's compelling, now I'm happy to talk to you. Again, for the students. All right, that was the bulk of it. The getting to the networking is the hardest part. Now let's talk about the building and establishing part, because I think that's really the part that we don't ever talk about, is the maintenance side of things. Okay, stay involved with your groups. Oh, I'm done. Be consistent, show up, participate, stay connected. Your level of connectivity and participation can vary, and as a leader of a group, and speaking for the other leaders of groups, perfectly fine, whatever your level is. If it's just coming to events, then that's it, that's perfectly fine. I have a network connection that is the VP of a very large manufacturer. I know they cannot come to events on a regular basis. However, they hit like quite often on my LinkedIn. I know they are staying connected to the network because every now and then they'll comment or something. But I also know that's their sign to me, they're staying connected to me. And I know I can reach out to them if I need something, and occasionally they'll come to an event. I'm okay with that. Get involved to the level that you like to get involved. Diversify, look for different groups. There's a few of us in here that go to CSCMP, CRLC, the Breakfast Club. Dave Teeple, I'm gonna call him out in the back because he's standing there, I can see him. At everything, and remember what I was saying, if you go to one event, you can kind of network with people that are all the other events? Dave's a perfect example of that. So if you can only get to CRLC events, you check in with Dave, hey, what happened at CSCMP last week? How'd that go? You're still staying connected. Be careful, don't go, if you have the opportunity to network in multiple groups, you may not want to do all the supply chain groups. I do because it's what I teach, I need to stay connected. However, if you're in the fashion industry, maybe you want to be part of Cebus Retail. You know, there may be some other groups that you may want to network with. So make sure that you're building your network and you're diversifying your network as well. Be you. Be who you are at these groups. It is really easy to get really excited about a new group and show up for the first time and go, yes, put me on this committee. Yes, I'll help with this. Yes, I can do that. Yes. And then 6 weeks goes by and your work explodes and you're like, I'm sorry, I can't make this meeting. And the next 4 meetings go by and now you've overcommitted yourself and now you feel bad. And the people in the group, see what I'm saying? So just be yourself. We're okay if you come in and say, I don't have the capacity to do much, but I want to stay connected to the group and I want to come do things. That's perfectly fine. That's the main reason we exist. So, we're talking about making connections, but I want to talk about the next level of the connections. That is when you start to build your network and you can go, oh, hey, you know who you need to talk to? One of my proudest moments when I was with the Ohio National Guard, I've spent 15 years full-time at the state headquarters, and I realized, oh my gosh, I'm one of the old guys, because I started getting a phone call. Hey sir, I know this isn't your lane, but I know you'll tell me who to talk to, or I know you'll know where to go, or I don't know what to do, can you help me? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been around the building long enough, and I know enough people that people come to me for this. They want that connection. So this is networking 201. Start making those connections. I can't tell you how many candidates I've sent to people in these rooms, or in this room. There are people in this room that reached out to me and said, hey, one of your students applied, you know them, or something like that. Hey, you need to be part of this group. Hey, you need to go here. You two need to talk. Make those connections for other people. No one say no. If you know me well, you'll know that I'm not doing as much stuff as I was 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I know my limits, I know my abilities. It was too much, it didn't seem like a lot. Well, some people it seemed like a lot. To me, it didn't seem like a lot, but I didn't realize how much it was weighing on me. So I've started saying no. I've said no to some people in this room who have asked me to do things. No, cannot do that. There's a veterans ERG at Columbus State. I told them numerous times, but they keep trying to pull me into it, that I'll come to the meetings and I'll support them, but I can't be part of the leadership of it. I just don't have that capacity right now. And I know they appreciate it, even though they want me to be part of the leadership, they do appreciate the fact that I am able to say no to them. Oh, the be a quitter. let's say you go to somewhere, you join, you pay the $50 to be a member of this organization, and you go, and you get to 3 or 4 meetings, and you realize, this isn't really cutting it for me. This isn't what I thought it was gonna be, or I'm not enjoying it, or I don't like the people, or they don't like me. That's fine. You know what, if you're not a fit, don't keep going. Don't feel bad because you joined our group and then stopped coming. If it's not a fit, it's not a fit. I don't want you to waste your time with it. So feel free to quit something that isn't working for you. I put this one on here because this is one that I am not good at. You lose the connections. It's very easy to go for a year and not talk to somebody, and you feel bad. You're like, oh, I haven't talked to them for a while. It's been a year for them too. They're perfectly okay with it. They could have reached out to you. Make the connection. Yo, dude, what's up? Haven't talked in a while. Erica and I probably do that on a semi-regular basis. We always catch up. It may be a year or so in between times we see each other at an event, but we always make sure that we find each other and catch up right away. We don't necessarily do that on email, but we know we're going to run into each other. If we didn't run into each other, we probably would stay in touch every now and then. So make sure you do that maintenance. I put this up here mainly for my own purposes because I am not very good at this. Then this last one. I was trying to figure out how to quantify this one specifically because it kind of goes both ways. This falls into the be a quitter and know when to say no. If it's not working for you, it's not working for you. That's perfectly fine. This is more on the other side. If you're trying to get people involved in a group, you're trying to attract more people to come. If you're a leader of one of these groups and you're trying to, get a certain company on board, and we would really like to have Amazon at the table. It may not work. Don't put all your time into getting Amazon in your group. If you've emailed them and emailed them and emailed them and people just aren't coming and nobody's responding and someone says, yes, I'll send someone and they don't, it's not worth the effort. Put the effort into the people that want to come to your group and want to be involved. You can't force it to happen. Be patient. Let things kind of happen naturally. You may lose people in your group, you may gain some. Someone may come to you and go, I've heard a lot about your group, I want to be a member. And you're like, yeah, this is what I was waiting for. So take the time, put the effort into those connections that are good, and they're going to help build your network or build your group. If you're trying to make a connection with somebody or a group or a customer or something, it's not working, just, maybe it's time to give up on that. Last one, I think she's broken sometimes. This was literally just the other day. She's perfectly healthy, she's perfectly fine, but yeah, she must have had a long day of napping outside. Yeah. So, okay. So that is it. How long time? A little bit, 10 minutes left. I am happy to take a question or two. I see one hand up in the back, but before I take a question, feel free to connect with me. However, if you do, please tell me that you were here and that you saw this. You don't have to say anything kind, just tell me you were here. Because if you don't, I may not connect with you. I'm not very liberal on my LinkedIn connections, but I will connect if I know that we connected physically. So Karen, you have your hand up.
So yeah, let's go back to the business part because this just recently happened to me. So I am not, I have done things, so if you get a business card from somebody and then you want to connect, I've gotten business cards, and one time I put the business card in my coat pocket, didn't realize there was a hole in it, and I lost it somewhere, and I wanted to talk to that person. And I just kept praying that they would call me because I needed to make that connection. And it didn't happen for almost 8 months, and I saw them somewhere else. But the one that was most recent, thank goodness they are a sponsor today, is I met a woman from Aquachet, and she did this digital thing. And Jeremy, as you know, I'm not technology savvy, so
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Give me your phone, and she put it all on there, and I go, oh great, now what am I supposed to do with it? She says, well, push that button. I went, oh okay, great, I did that, and I wanted to call her the next day, and I didn't have it, and I can't find it, and it's like the only reason why I know her name is because it's mine with an A. So it's like I have to get connected with Aquachet. So it's like because you get a call, you get their card, and you want to call them. Don't be afraid to be the first one to call because they may really be
Yeah, that's
Good point, Jeremy. You did
good.
very
Good
well.
advice. And yes, the digital thing can kind of be a challenge sometimes, just because there's different platforms and everybody has different cards. Everybody's phone works a different way. I'm seeing my students, when they connect with someone, they actually come up and hand them their phone and say, "Would you connect me to you on LinkedIn?" They'll have their own LinkedIn open and they'll say, "Would you find you and connect me?" Or "Would you type your email address into this email?" Because they want to make sure they get it right away, and they're just used to the digital side of things. Any other questions? Anything else? Good, awesome. Well, we'll finish up a little bit early. So, it's my pleasure to introduce our next guest, which is Dr. Dana Winchester. She is the founder and CEO of the Winchester Institute of Chiropractic Health and Wellness, and she will be giving our final presentation. And while she's working her way up, there she is. I will tell you, I am standing here today because of my chiropractor. I've had 2 in 30 years, and the only reason I switched is because I moved. And I'm like, "Who's your personal chiropractor? I'm moving up to Columbus." And he sent me to his personal chiropractor, and I've been going to him for like 20 years. So I love my chiropractor. So I'm more than happy to introduce another chiropractor. So thank you so much.
Since you guys don't give me a lot of time to stress, start my presentation here. I'm just up here and ready to go. Okay, so I'm Dr. Dana Winchester, and as Jeremy mentioned, I'm the founder and the CEO of the Winchester Institute. I went to Miami of Ohio for my undergrad degree, and then Palmer College in Davenport, Iowa for my doctorate degree. I opened the Winchester Institute's doors in 2005, so this April actually marks our 20th year in business. And I will tell you, boy, have I done a lot of this. I don't have as much time to do it today, but I spent a lot of time out in the community, meeting people, attending as many networking events as I could in order to build my business. I now live in Dublin with my husband and daughter, and I thought you guys might want to see, this is our golden doodle here. This is Chelsea, and she truly is awesome, and she does bring a lot of joy to our lives. And how many of you have pets? That's great. So you guys are already one step ahead on this topic of stress, because according to the American Heart Association, 95% of dog and cat owners report that their animals significantly help them manage stress. And I would believe that that's true. So the Winchester Institute is an acute and preventive healthcare facility dedicated to the total well-being of our patients. We offer skilled rehabilitation and soft tissue therapies, such as myofascial release, muscle activation therapy, cupping, clinical stretching, instrument-assisted work, relaxation, massage, and other health and wellness services such as nutrition and weight loss counseling, wellness coaching, laser therapy, dry needling, and all of these services kind of evolved over time as you gain information and knowledge and technology and as your company grows. Our group of physicians specializes in a very individualized form of spinal manipulation that's called Gonstead, and we believe in taking great care of our patients and providing what I call true healthcare. We stay current with our care plan recommendations, we follow best practice guidelines, and I oversee a team now of 25 employees and business partners, and I manage approximately 450 to 500 patients through our doors on a weekly basis. I also agreed to have 7 little girls come over for a birthday sleepover on Saturday, so if anyone is more qualified to be here talking to you about stress management, it's me. So pray for me on Saturday. Okay, why should we be talking about stress? I truly believe as a healthcare provider today that we need to normalize and neutralize this topic and idea of having stress. We all have it, we've always all had it, but today we aren't managing it well. We're not managing ourselves well, and we're not managing our health well. And as a result, the perception, and I'm gonna talk about this a lot as I speak this morning, the perception, because it's generally speaking your perception of your stress that robs us of our joy and that causes disease, illness, sadness, and pain. I wanna give you a couple US statistics, stress statistics. According to the American Psychological Association, money is a major source of stress for 66% of adults. 57% stating current expenses such as food and rent are their main source of money-related stress. Around 34% of US adults report feeling that stress is completely overwhelming for them on most days. Another study found that 74% of our population reports feeling so stressed or overwhelmed that we just don't feel able to cope. 37% of US adults report being unable to do anything when they're stressed. 56% of employed US adults report job stability as a source of stress. 27% of us report feeling so stressed that we can't function properly on most days. And I think this one is evident and super true that our younger population is struggling the most. Younger US women are more likely to report feeling overwhelmed by stress than older women, and younger US men are more likely to report feeling overwhelmed by stress than older men. And I think that various factors contribute to this for us, such as our fast-paced nature of modern living today, technological advancements. I mean, even in our business, it's constantly, we're revamping and remodeling a process and a procedure because of technology. It's like you just had to log in this way, but now everybody on your team has to learn a different way to do it. And that can be stressful. That's a lot to deal with. I think people really like the same thing often. We don't deal with change well. People today often juggle multiple responsibilities. Unlike previous years, we face constant stimuli. Don't we? Isn't it constant that your phone is telling you about something? The garage door is going up, or the garage door is going down. The dog across the sidewalk. You have text messages, email alerts. There's just a lot happening, and it's leading to heightened stress levels compared to our previous generations. So what are our objectives and my goals for you today? I want you to remember that stress is personal. Like I said originally or earlier in the presentation, it's a perception. Executive level and leadership roles will often increase stress exposure. You're managing people. The effects of stress on our health. So we're gonna talk quickly about what does stress really do to us and why does it matter? Stress can be more effectively managed. We can't really erase it. We can change the way we perceive it, but we can't get rid of it. We can learn to thrive in an acute episodic level of stress if we're mindful enough to notice it. And we largely determine our health in both body and mind, and to remind you that you are in control. So let's talk about what it really means to have our health or to be healthy. Health is a complete state of physical, mental, and social well-being. It is not merely the absence of a disease process or a symptom that you might currently be or not be experiencing. So I want to ask you, are you investing enough in your health? Because health is by far your most valuable investment asset for a greater life. And financial experts warn us that either we focus on our health now and invest in it, or we're going to be paying later. Check this information out. So this is our top 5 leading causes of death here in the United States today. This is data compiled from Johns Hopkins, from the World Health Organization, the National Institute of Health, and the Centers for Disease Control. We've got heart disease, cancer, preventable medical error, chronic respiratory disease, and stroke. And aside from number 3, preventable medical error, these top 4 remaining leading causes of death in our country are promoted by high levels of chronic stress. Why? Because stress Chronic stress provokes a continued state of what we call inflammation. And what generally drives an inflammatory response in the body can be simplified into what we consider or call the 3 T's. Thoughts, so what we're thinking, how we're perceiving and controlling our stress in our mind. Traumas, both micro and macro trauma. So micro is just the daily grind, the daily wear and tear, the oxidative stress on the human body. And then macro trauma is injury, in more severe traumas. And then toxins being dietary toxins, so what we're eating. This is a big one. And environmental toxins, so what's in the air, what we're putting on our skin. I love to use this graphic because I think it helps simplify the idea of what the heck does it mean to have high inflammation. I think we're all familiar with the idea of someone who has asthma, okay? So if we look at the different bronchial pathways in the lung that exchange air for oxygen, basically, the bronchial over on this side on your left is showing an individual who doesn't have asthma. So this person over here has a thinner membrane to the bronchial. The membrane of that bronchial is permeable. It's able to exchange what is needed for the individual to be healthy. It is not swollen and inflamed and mucus producing or congested, meaning it becomes less permeable to vitamins, minerals, water, salts, rendering this bronchial less functional. So if we think of these as our cells, right? There's a cell on the left and a cell on the right, and we cut it right down the middle, and we take a look at that cell's membrane. If we're someone that is chronically exposing the body to not the best 3T choices, right? Thoughts, traumas, and toxins, not exposing it right, we're gonna have cells that look more like this. They're gonna be more inflamed, more swollen. We're not gonna feel good, and the body is gonna be less functional, and we're going to be less well. It's important to note that temporary acute stress that is short-lived is supportive to being most well and to achieving health and healing. In fact, a lot of what we do in preventive healthcare and preventive medicine is purposeful, on-purpose trauma to the body at a micro level in order to encourage it to heal and recover in a more youthful, healthy, functioning state. Some examples of acute inflammation that we might be more familiar with are like an injury. You sprained your ankle jogging or walking, the joint is temporarily swollen, red, and hot. A new yoga class that leaves you sore the day after. A new hard workout where you lifted weights that you're not usually used to lifting. All of that is trauma to our tissue that actually helps us heal and be more well. But it's acute and it's short-lived. I think this graphic is really, really cool too, and it reminds us of how easy it is if we allow it for emotional thoughts and stresses to destroy our well-being. So take a look at this. So with the graphic, it shows how the brain takes one thought, one negative thought, one upset thought, one fear, one worry, to begin this cascade of negative events. So the hypothalamus, which is the command center in the brain, will actually stimulate our pituitary gland to release adrenocorticotropic hormone, which is just a mediator that signals to the adrenal glands to make cortisol and adrenaline. Cortisol and adrenaline is then dumped into the bloodstream, and this whole negative cascade of events begins happening immediately. The liver begins to convert glycogen to glucose, which dumps a bunch of sugar in the bloodstream, which is inflammatory. We have increased blood pressure, which is inflammatory. We have increased sweating, faster shallow breathing, and accelerated heart rate, maybe vision changes, and our digestion slows down. When you're under a lot of stress, doesn't it feel like your belly just feels like so bloated and you can't like process your food and you just feel so full and uncomfortable? So just a reminder here how being mindful of these thoughts might be able to slow down or halt this process altogether. And as a side note, manipulation actually spinal manipulation has a lot of control over the side effects of stress. It actually reduces cortisol levels, can slow down breathing, can normalize heart rate and rhythm, can improve digestive processes. So what are the things that tend to bring about the most stress for us? So we've got work, family, relationships, which is basically just people, financial issues and worries, and lastly, health concerns. And while we don't always have as much control over work, people, and financial worries at times, or financial issues at times, we do have a bit more control over our health than we realize. When it comes to our health, the large majority of us hold our health, we're fortunate enough to hold our health destiny in our hands. And most research says in large part that we determine our own well-being. And if we allow a continued state of high stress perception without a way to manage it better, we begin to notice physical, or maybe we don't notice. That's the scary thing about the human body, is we don't always have that outward manifestation of a symptom until it's too late. But we could begin to notice physical, mental, and behavioral changes with the body in our cardiovascular system, our hormone systems, our immune system. You know, if we're coming down with lots of colds and sicknesses all the time, that's a big red flag. Digestive system changes, musculoskeletal issues, maybe we develop hypertension, diabetes, heart disease. We notice more anxiety, depression, we feel burnt out, we've got memory problems, concentration issues. We're not sleeping as well. We're changing our eating habits. We're always hungry, or we're not hungry enough. We're changing our exercise habits. Maybe we're not exercising, or maybe we're overdoing it as a means of control. We're tending or leaning towards substance to control our feelings and stresses, and we may notice weight gain, addiction, insomnia, and develop obesity. So now that we all know how stress affects our health, what can we do about it? There are 4 top proven stress management strategies. We can make better lifestyle adjustments. We can employ health practices. We can practice cognitive behavioral techniques, and we can begin to connect socially, or maybe do it more, or connect with the right people, which is something that Jeremy was talking about. So our first strategy is lifestyle adjustments, and through diet, exercise, and sleep, we can begin to make some really positive changes with how we're able to manage stress. The Cleveland Clinic's Health Essentials Journal found that anti-inflammatory diets, or more of a Mediterranean diet, helps to reduce cortisol and inflammation that feeds stress, anxiety, depression, weight gain, and pain. If you're eating a lot of processed, refined junk food, you're gonna hurt more. Your joints are going to be more, what's the word? Inflamed, yes. Okay, and then according to the Mayo Clinic, exercise helps lower stress by increasing endorphins, which imitates our fight or flight response, which is awesome when it's short-lived, like having to come talk to a group of people and you get a little nervous. That's actually really good for my health. Improves mood and reduces cortisol and adrenaline. And according to the Division of Sleep Medicine at Harvard, focusing on quality sleep can help us repair and recover from the day's damage, reaching a deeper sleep and less REM disruption, which results in less daytime fatigue and avoidable impairments in productivity. When it comes to diet and that particular lifestyle adjustment, I think we overcomplicate it. What if we just looked at our dietary choices in 2 general categories that I like to call our prepared foods versus our stress foods? Let me ask you, after a really stressful, busy day or bad day or long week, who comes home and opens the crisper drawer and begins pulling out apples and peppers and broccoli? No, where do you go? The wine cabinet, the pantry, the drawer, the packages, right? Because we want that quick fix. But what I challenge you to think about is having some more prepared foods. Take 1 moment out of your week to think about what you can have throughout the week for meals and snacks that are more prepared, such as fruits, vegetables, whole grains, healthy fats, lean proteins, and this stuff doesn't need to take long either. You can get really good at making a healthy, quick meal or snack versus fast foods that are more pre-packaged cookies, crackers, cakes, juices, and sodas, things that dissolve or digest rapidly are going to increase insulin. Okay, so when we increase insulin, we increase inflammation, yes, which increases oxidative stress on the body. We age more rapidly, we hurt more, we have more depression, more pain, more weight gain, more anxiety, more illness. When it comes to supplements, there are actually a lot of really great, helpful products out there. The biggest concern here is that the FDA currently does not have regulation on these products. So you have to be really, really careful. You have to vet the company that you are purchasing from. You have to make sure that they have third-party inspection on their product and that their label is actually accurate. And believe it or not, the majority are not. But things such as magnesium, fish oil, vitamin D, probiotics, digestive age, ashwagandha is proven time and time again to lower our stress levels or our perceived anxiety levels. Drenamine is a great product by a company or a vendor that we utilize called Standard Process. And Drenamine helps to support our adrenal glands, which remember are responsible for dumping that cortisol and adrenaline into the blood from the schematic I had showed earlier. Okay, stress. Sleep, Sleep is super important. It's a metabolism booster, an anti-ager, a muscle keeper, and an immune saver. Couple things about sleep. We want to make sure we're not over-exercising if we're utilizing that to help manage our stress better. We want to make sure that we're aiming for 7 to 8 hours of sleep each night. And skipping one there, sleep needs do not decrease much by age. I often hear, oh, I just don't need as much as I used to. I'm a little older now. By the time we're 65, it only decreases by 30 minutes. We really should be focusing on how do we get better quality sleep. We should follow a circadian rhythm when we can, meaning paying attention to when the sun comes up and light comes out versus when it's dark, because our bodies are actually designed and pre-programmed to produce hormones at certain times throughout the night. And if you're staying up until midnight and 1 o'clock watching useless, pointless videos on your phone that mean nothing to your networking and your business growth and your health, you're gonna disrupt your circadian rhythm. We want to watch lighting in bedrooms and where we're sleeping, so watch that you don't have an iPad next to your bed or a computer or a different type of electronic, like older alarm clocks are gonna have like a bright white light emitted from them. We actually want more warm colors if we're gonna have any light emitted from anything in our bedroom, because the lighting actually, even with the eyes closed, penetrates the eyelid and actually affects our circadian rhythm a bit. So pay attention to that. Telomeres. So when we don't get good quality sleep, there's these little protective caps at the end of our DNA strands called telomere caps. And quality sleep causes them to break down. Another important little cool thing is that spinal manipulation is actually proven to promote longevity of the telomere cap. But when these telomeres break down, we lose protection of our cells and genes, and we notice more rapid aging. Back to the stress thing, I forgot to tell you this, I pulled this away. Do you guys know what the second leading cause of death amongst 15 to 24-year-olds is in our country? Yeah, isn't that awful? I feel just like stress, we're not talking about it enough. We should all be talking about stress in terms of, yes, we have it, now what? What do we do about it? How do we manage it better? And it's followed by suicide is only led by unintentional injury for that age group. So that's a really, really big problem. Are we talking about it enough? With the age group that we know, maybe people that you might be starting to network in, some of you might be in this category. And 27% of 15 to 24-year-olds report serious thoughts about suicide. That's crazy. My daughter is in 6th grade in Dublin city schools, and she already has 2 little girls in her friend group that have talked about committing suicide. Yeah, and they talk about it, and it's just an interesting thing. So I try to kind of keep her going on the topic when she brings it up, because I think that's really important. Okay, so strategy and technique number 2 is practicing, like I said earlier, true healthcare. And what does that mean? That means actually focusing on your health, not just side effects and symptoms once they show up. Employing or finding professional skilled preventive care, professionals that can help you with this is really important. The most well-documented and research-supported methods are chiropractic manipulation, acupuncture and massage, and other musculoskeletal therapies. Manipulation is actually proven to regulate our nervous system. It improves functionality of the body, aligning the way the brain communicates to its cells. People think that an adjustment or a spinal manipulation is about a bone out of place or an alignment issue only, that we shove this bone back into place. That is not what happens with a manipulation at all. It reduces muscle tension, alleviating associated muscle tension from stress, tightness in the neck, upper back, and lower back. It reduces pain, actually changing the way the brain perceives pain. So we now have functional MRI images showing that post-manipulation of the spine, that the prefrontal lobe of the brain becomes excited, similar to the outer cortex of the brain becoming excited with exercise and movement. Manipulation improves sleep quality, and it also is found to lower cortisol levels. This is a really cool slide I wanted to bring to you today because I'm sure the majority of you in this room are suffering from upper back pain, neck tension, tightness in the neck, and just this feeling that your head is gaining weight. The head is getting heavier, and it's because it is, and I'll explain this here in a minute, but the graphic over on the left, okay, so the graphic over on the left here is showing a more normal, smooth curve in the neck. So this is like we're looking at someone from the side. This is their jaw. This is their spine. In between each one of the vertebrae are those intervertebral discs that people talk about being herniated or bulging that then begin to pinch on nerves that exit from here. So when we manipulate the spine, we are opening and decompressing the spinal segments that may be contributing to nervous system impedance. But this individual over here has a very common neck like we see today, sometimes 10-year-olds, sometimes 20-year-olds, sometimes 40-year-olds. It doesn't matter is my point. We're all losing that normal curve. We're developing what we're calling a tech neck. And as the neck straightens like that, we begin to put a greater load on these discs because the center of gravity has changed, and we put a ton of stretch on the spinal cord back here. Sometimes we develop we don't always have symptoms for the changes that these kinds of things can amount to. So we can see here science has been able to study as we look down more, and remember from this slide, this individual might be looking straight ahead, but look how they've completely lost that curve, right? So they've gone from a normal 40-degree curve here to flattening or negative, which on this slide shows us how much weight the head begins to grow by, right? So for every 15 degrees that we lose our curve or we are looking down at a phone or a device all day, the weight of the head grows by 10 to 15 pounds. So at the end of the day, most of us are walking around with a head that weighs 60 to 80 pounds when it should weigh 8 to 12, which is why we're seeing greater degenerative and spinal arthritic changes in the neck and upper back today. But we also know that this idea of tech neck leads to lymphatic dysfunction, so our lymph nodes don't function as well. We have lung compression because the apex of the lung gets too much pressure on it, and it reduces oxygen and blood flow to the brain because of spinal cord pressure. Okay, this is strategy number 3, and it's probably one of my favorites. Even though I'm a chiropractor, I do love the idea of practicing true healthcare and seeing your chiropractor. But this one is about becoming more emotionally intelligent and actually spending more time being mindful and thinking about your thoughts and your behaviors. The Journal of Neuroplasticity and Neurogenesis was able to do some studies on what does it take to change the way the brain thinks. So do you know the human brain just naturally has evolved to think negative? right? Like, let's say instead of that really bad week that we talked about earlier, say you had an awesome week. You met 3 great people in networking that you think might actually amount to new business for you or growth for you. You go sit in your car at the end of the day, you actually feel like you finished your things for the week and you're not going home with this huge mental load. What's the first thing your brain starts to do? This is really depressing. What's it do? What's the next worry? What's the one thing that didn't happen good today? Out of 20 amazing things, what's that one conversation that I had that I just feel like I didn't say the right thing? What's the one opportunity that I missed today? The one email I forgot to send out, or just the one thing. So what we want to do is work on the brain's ability to be plastic. And what science is telling us time and time again is that we have control. Say it. We have control. We really do. So here's what I want you to practice because it works. I want you to take the next month to month and a half, and I want you to spend a minute or 2 every day thinking of 3 things that you're joyful or happy about. I know it seems so silly, and guys, you can do this too. So I want you to be thinking about, your spouse and one thing about him or her that you like. One thing that your kids actually do right. One thing great about your life 3 times per day. And we begin to change the way the brain scans for the negative, and believe it or not, it could start to think about the positive. When anxiety and negativity strike, I want you to sit back and practice mindful awareness to redirect your energy and your thoughts. We can practice more resilience. This is huge. Take a look at our younger population today. Not very resilient. We need to teach them a new way. We need to work on ourselves too. How effective are we at formulating a new plan and implementing a necessary change? Because things are going to go wrong. They're going to go wrong when you feel like you just can't handle more. Are you delivering the right message to your team or to your family or to your children professionally and personally? And can you pivot quickly to adhere to your goals? Who all has seen people in business that just seem to fall apart when something doesn't go just right or when you have to pivot? Set goals. Do you actually have goals? Do you know what they are? Do the people around you, not just your work colleagues, but your friends, your family, do they understand what your goals are? Does your team know the goals of the organization that you work for? Do you communicate your expectations and discuss your goals as a family? Time management. Making lists is super important to helping you manage stress better. There's lots of research showing if you just sit down to a list, taking that load off of the short-term memory can help you feel happier and more productive, create a priority hierarchy, and that extra hour is huge. So the Journal of Cognitive Neuroscience has published a few studies on this extra hour, and I find it extremely helpful. Actually, I find it a must. Most mornings I get up a minimum of 1 hour before my husband, my daughter, and before I feel like business is starting. So I'm usually up by 5:15 every day, looking at my emails, filtering out things that I don't need to focus on today, creating a list, and getting the highest priority items at the top of that list. Who knows about E plus R equals O? Nobody? Oh, good. Okay. Do you practice it every day? Just like the 3 happy thoughts, I'm giving you guys heavy homework here. Just like the 3 happy thoughts a day, I want you to start practicing this. So this was originally formulated by Jack Canfield and then used big time at Ohio State by Jim Tressel and his athletes. But what it is an equation on life, basically. It's an understanding that in any given situation, 10% of the outcome is what has happened, which we're gonna call the event. So something happens today, right? 90% of the outcome of that event is dependent upon how you react to it. So I want you to think about, what is my outcome? What do I want to come out of this? Whether it be an interaction between you and your children, a coworker, again, spouse conflict, right? What do I want for my Friday night? What do I want for my Monday morning? Am I really gonna make that snide comment about that? Or what could I say or do? How can I pause before I react so that I get the outcome that I want? So our last strategy, our final topic, is social support. This one's also really cool too. Whoops. Build a network. Are you surrounded by the right people? Who's ever been in business and been surrounded by the wrong people? Right? The people that are toxically affecting the company and the business productivity. You have to either get out of that situation or do what it takes to fix it. Is your family supportive of your goals and you? Do you surround yourself by others that positively elevate and challenge your thinking? Do you set boundaries? Do you stand behind your boundaries and policies? Do you stand up to those? Do you address concerns quickly, or do you just let it all slide? Do you have a trusted and respected support system for day-to-day collaboration? And do you seek help when needed? Don't wait for symptoms to arise. Start focusing on your health and stress management today. And others, a reminder that other people actually find joy and gratitude in helping. So allow them, let them. Who's heard of the let them theory? It's a big phenomenon right now. Okay, so now let's build a plan. I ask each of you to take your phones out quickly and scan our QR code here. It's a 2-minute stress survey for you. And I want you to go ahead and answer the questions. And before you submit your answers, I ask that you tally your total points. Each participant that we receive a questionnaire from will be entered to receive an hour skilled massage from our awesome team. A couple of our team members are in the back right now giving chair massage to you guys this morning. And I hope that each of you were able to stop back there because they truly are extremely talented individuals in our massage department, and our massage services are very clinical. We are not just offering, generic relaxation therapies at our clinic. You guys are into this. I like this. Okay, so I always say that identifying a problem is the first part in solving it. So if you scored between a 0 and 20, you have a lower stress level. Maybe you approach challenges with a more relaxed mindset and maintain a balanced perspective in various situations. However, we can always do better. 21 to 40, you have a moderate stress level. You might be showing signs of restlessness, occasional irritability, difficulty concentrating, but are still able to manage daily tasks with some extra effort. And 41 to 60, you guys have a lot of work to do. So I hope that I was able to make you think a bit this morning and maybe help you implement some changes. And also know that we're all in this together, right? Like I said, I've been here too. I still go to different networking events, after a long day of work, and try to meet new people. And that's how you grow, and that's how you get better. So keep up the great work. And if you guys have any questions, I don't know if I have a minute or two to answer 1 or 2 questions. I can have 1 question. Anybody got one for me?
What do you think about this time change? This year I'm normally, the time change on either end does not bother me, but this year it has really affected me. And I don't know if that's because we had a big huge project that was due, and so I was stressed during that time
Yeah.
or whatever, but it has really affected me all week.
Yeah, and it might for a period of time until the body adjusts to it. If you take a moment to just look up, Google the circadian rhythm, it's really interesting. So we've had a shift in how the body's producing hormones for a temporary period until we pick up this new, clock. So it, and maybe, depending upon what's going on in life and maybe, as we get older, or even our younger ones struggle significantly sometimes too, right? To adjust to these time changes. And there's more to it than just this idea of, oh, we lose or gain an hour. There's actually physiological change that happens. I wish we could have it like this all the time. I want it to be lighter later. I feel like I'm much more active, I'm much more productive, versus when it's, 4 and 5 o'clock and it's totally black outside. It's hard to want to do anything. Yeah. But my team and myself and our doctors and our service providers, we are here for you, and we work our butts off to provide ultimate health care. So if there is anything that we can do to help any of you, you let us know. Thank you for having me this morning. This was really fun.
I just want to say thank you to Erica and Jeremy and Dr. Dana for being a part of our discussion today on accelerating female talent. Please give them another round of applause. And now I'd like to ask that Erica, Kelly, and Dave join me. Today I have the pleasure of introducing the Inspire Award finalists. This award is meant to recognize women in supply chain and logistics industries who demonstrate teamwork, collaboration, leadership, innovation, and a commitment to community. And first up, in third place, we have Crystal Pullman, Executive Vice President of Operations. You guys will pause for a second for a photo too, please. Next up, in second place, is Katie White, Director of Solution Development. And finally, our winner, Samantha Allen, Director of Accounting.
Can we take her award out? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Show them what you figure out. Yes.
We joked with Sam that we were gonna make her do a speech. This award has been amazing. It was great doing the voting and all that stuff. It was just really, really empowering.
It was
So,
hard.
It was very, very, very hard. Congratulations to all of our finalists. Another round of applause. So now we just have a few raffle items that were donated. Erica, will you guys grab those and help me get those out? I'll pull them. Yep. So first up, we have a facial from Christine Boucher to Michelle Manley at FST. And we have Lindsay Matthews with a wellness kit here from Minutemen Printing. Next up, we have Caitlin Zimmerman with $100 to Holtnut from Castle. Becky Huber from FST, $100 to Timeless Skin Solutions from Minutemen Printing. Maggie Schaefer, ODW, $100 from Jet Container for a restaurant. Thank you all for coming today, and I'd like to call Christine Boucher up to close us out, please.
Move the picture.
See, Carl, that's all you have to do is tell her to move the picture. Wow, what a morning this has been. I hope all of you are energized, ready to go back to your office, ready to make an appointment with Dr. Dana to get your neck realigned. Go back, if you need that massage, go get that massage. I got one while Jeremy was up here, but I heard everything you said. I want to just do a real quick recap about the scholarship that is very important to us, very important actually to the industry. When you think about the scholarship is encouraging others to come into this industry you are all in. You are helping support somebody else that's going to work for you. Maybe it's going to be your replacement. Not that you're leaving, but eventually we will, because we all want to take care of our health and our mind and think about what's our next. So please do consider contributing to that scholarship. And the highlights from today's event, I don't know how I could highlight this. There was so much good stuff that was discussed through our three presenters and our award winners. This is not something that's going to end. So when you see the awards nominations come out next year, please consider nominating somebody, a peer, or somebody that you maybe met at a networking who's making great accomplishments in the industry. They could be up here next year as a finalist and award winner. So I want to take time out to thank you all for committing to being here today. I know our schedules are busy, but your commitment means a lot to us in being here. I also want to thank, we've talked a lot about the women in the room. Look at the men in the room. Look at our support with the men that are in the room. Thank you to you for being here, for being present, for encouraging and supporting the women that you work with, to rise to levels that they don't even know yet they can do. So I appreciate that. I'll obviously thank you to our presenters for sharing impactful insights on accelerating female talent. A special thank you to the CRLC Advisory Board, all of our sponsors, our 2025 investor partners, our committee, who were the four, Melissa, Dave, Erica, and Kelly, who from the very beginning hit the ground running on putting this together. But our events and marketing don't just happen organically. It's a team effort, and our marketing and events team with Hope and Kaylee and Natalie is very important to what you are all experiencing here today, from finding the location, setting everything up. But we ran out of coffee, but that's okay. I'll be all right. I'll stop on my way to the office. But it's great. We could have done it without them. So we hope to see you again. We do have an event, documentary that we will be showing in April 10th on Beyond Zero. So if any of you and your organizations are working towards or on the path of getting to that carbon footprint, zero carbon footprint, this documentary will help you to identify maybe areas of your business where you could invest some time and energy into getting to that point. So that's April 10th. That will be at, there's the thank you, coming events. That will be at the Lincoln Theater, and that is in the morning, 7:30 to 11:30. All right. Let me make sure I got everything, because our marketing event team will tell me I didn't. So. Okay. All right. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you. Bye-bye.